Government officials, African ministers, institutional investors, private financiers, and service and technology providers are in Washington for the 10th Annual Powering Africa Summit. The summit has a new theme, the future of the U.S. and Africa Energy Partnership. VOA's Anthony LaBruto is standing by live at the event. Hello, Anthony. Tell us about some of the big issues being discussed at this year's summit.
Absolutely, Esther. So like you mentioned, private investors, financiers, African energy ministers, and U.S. diplomats are all here in downtown Washington, D.C. for the Powering Africa Summit. So this is the 10th anniversary of this summit. And really what this does is bringing together all of these different types of people where American investors will sort of make the pitch, American diplomats will really make the pitch to see that American companies should be on the continent and should be doing business with these African countries.
Anthony, very curious now that we can talk about the continent being represented in D.C. What are some of the African officials they are looking forward to out of this summit?
Absolutely. So we had a chance to listen in on a couple of different keynote speakers so far here at the summit. Things are just getting going here for about an hour. But we'd heard from one power company who had said they really want respect, a mutual respect from America, that really in the past they'd felt that more American companies had been more of an exploiter rather than a partner. And so really the theme of this 10-year anniversary even too is seeing that both American companies and African state-owned companies, African energy ministers can really come together and really create a product for their people that can be of mutual benefit.
And what do American companies say they want to get out of it?
So both the State Department and some American officials have spoken so far, American power companies, I should say, and they really said they really want to change the dialogue that they are having with African countries. So Troy Fitrell, the African ambassador from the State Department, said he really wants to see a lot more de-risk investment happening on the African continent. So really exploring all sorts of options to invest not only in the power generation itself, but in a lot of the resource generation, the resource refinement, really exploring a lot more of those options that he said the previous administrations had not done in the past. And he really wants to see really a more open dialogue with a lot of these different places. And seeing, too, that there are many different cases, there are many different regions, there are many different countries that are gathered in the room just off camera here, just to see and have an open dialogue and listen, what do these countries want from the United States, what type of investment that they want from the United States. You know, one of the biggest things that the ambassador had said that really makes American companies really stand apart is that he says Africans are working in African sectors in these high-skilled jobs that he said other countries like China and Russia are not, that they are coming in, they're taking the resources and having their own people refine it, and then sending it back to them. But he said really he wants to see Americans involved in and Africans involved in at every point of the supply chain and also the revenue chain as well.
Anthony, very curious. You are very young, so I'm just wondering, have you seen some of the young Africans there? It's the digital age, and most of them, they want to speak out and they want to give their own visions about what they expect for Africa.
Absolutely. There were a couple younger ministers here as well that they said they really wanted American companies in particular to evaluate not just the urban areas that a lot of ministers had done so in the past. You know, of course, a lot of these urban centers, a lot of urban cities that we think of in Africa really are the main hubs for electric generation, electric consumption. But he said, but some said that they really want to see more holistic evaluation. So these suburban areas, these rural areas, he said, that are often forgotten really by each country, each investor that comes in, that they only want really these big ticket items. But he said, micro mobility, micro power generation, mini power generation. It mentioned mini modular nuclear reactors as an option for a lot of these rural areas and generating more local supply chains for them. So really, I think there's a lot more interest for countries holistically, but really taking the new partnerships to the next level.